Alright, so today we're talking about one of the most bizarre and creative Sims 4 expansion ideas I've ever seen. Luguber Genante Bolknacken. Just saying the name is a challenge. This pack promises creepy, cozy, and completely out there content. Where do we even begin?
Honestly, the name alone hooked me. It's Dutch for something like Macabre embarrassing cigars, right? But it's way more than a cigar pack. This expansion is blending horror, fantasy, and a twist of dark humor into the Sims universe. Think haunted cigar lounges, horror monsters as pets, and park management with monster habitats. It's wild.
Exactly. And it's inspired by everything from GTA 5's open-world play to the dark fantasy vibes of Elden Ring, and even the mature themes of mods like Wicked Whims. It's like someone took the weirdest features from a bunch of games and tossed them in a cauldron.
And somehow, it works. Each element adds a strange sort of charm. I mean, who wouldn't want their Sims to explore a creepy lounge, puff on a Frapscottle-infused cigar, and maybe run into a horror butler at the bar? Let's break down some of these main features, because there's a lot to unpack.
So, let's talk about the heart of this expansion, the cigar bars and those chilling smoking rooms. When your Sim enters, there's this eerie, cozy glow. The mood is simultaneously unsettling and welcoming. Picture mahogany bars full of bizarre cigars, meat hookahs, and even a monster butler serving drinks.
That butler monster is such a fantastic touch. It's like part horror movie, part old school luxury. And the cigars themselves, they're not normal by any stretch. There's the tuberculosis, typhus cigar, the monster measles, even a COVID catastrophe cigar. Each has its own creepy backstory.
It's almost as if the cigars themselves are little collectible horror stories. And then there's the meat shisha, a water pipe made from a severed monster head. That's so gruesome, it's actually kind of brilliant.
I can already imagine players designing their own smoking rooms, layering in these oddities. It's half horror lounge, half personal art project, and totally unlike anything else in The Sims so far. Speaking of customization, the pack doesn't stop there.
That brings us right into one of the most ambitious features, park building. It's heavily inspired by games like Jurassic World Evolution and Roller Coaster Tycoon, but with a horror twist. Players can create their own monster zoos, fill them with fantasy creatures and horror icons, and manage everything from photo ops with creepy mascots to wild monster shows.
It's honestly genius. Imagine designing habitats for creatures like the Terry-wise druid, part evil clown, part druid, massive tusks, and all sorts of magical powers. Or maybe you want a pack of horror spiders as park pets. The possibilities are so creative, and I love that you can run the park, hire monster trainers, and even set up themed food stalls.
And for folks who want to experiment, there's a sandbox mode. You can try out crazy park layouts, test different monster mixes, or just build the wildest horror amusement park you can dream up. Plus, the online mode lets you connect with friends and show off your macabre creations.
That community angle is awesome. You're not just playing God with monsters. You're sharing ideas and even collaborating on parks. It adds a whole new social side to The Sims. But what about the Sims themselves? They're not just stuck watching. They can develop some pretty wild new skills too.
Here's where it gets extra quirky. This expansion introduces new, darkly creative skills for your Sims. They can master deathcore growling, crafting those guttural metal screams. There's even a progression, starting with anger, practicing grunting, and eventually combining horror inspiration and magic for the ultimate death growl.
And if your Sim prefers the artisan side, cigar crafting is a whole journey in itself. They start at a fictional wizarding university, learn to roll basic cigars, and eventually create these infamous, story-filled, macabre cigars. Then they can even sell them for a little side hustle. It's so detailed. It cracks me up.
Let's not forget the crossbreeding skill. Learn about monsters, experiment with CRISPR, and end up with totally unique pets. Suddenly you've got a zoo full of hybrid horrors, from druidic monsters to genetically spliced spiders. It's almost like Pokemon went to a haunted house.
Right. And it's not just for show these skills. Add new challenges, creative outlets, and even some dark comedy to your Sims' lives. That brings us to the creatures themselves, because some of these new pets are unlike anything we've seen before.
I've got to say, the monster designs in this pack take the cake. The Terry-wise druid is like if Pennywise, Art the Clown, and an ancient druid got mashed together: giant fangs, wild powers, and a disturbing tendency for deathcore growls. It's not your average Sims pet.
The horror spiders fascinate me. Some are based on player sketches, others are hybrid monsters from nightmares like the Dog Kong, the Oimpalo Impa horror, or that wild Huagin spider. Each one brings its own odd quirks and possible interactions, from scaring visitors to starring in monster shows.
What makes it even better is that these creatures can be trained, managed, or just invited to cause some chaos in your park or home. It adds a whole layer of unpredictability.
And with all the tools for customization, new clothing, piercings, fantasy beards for your Sims, the whole vibe is as creative as it is spooky. But of course, all this wildness needs some practical consideration, especially with such a tight development budget. Let's wrap up with the real-world side of making a pack like this.
So, let's get real for a second. This expansion is ambitious, but the proposed budget is just 400 euros. That's pretty tight for game development, especially with so many features. The plan is to use platforms like Unity or Roblox to prototype and keep costs down by focusing on creativity and community-driven content.
Absolutely. It's a classic case of thinking big but working smart. By involving the Sims community, encouraging custom content, and maybe even collaborating with modders from games like GTA or Skyrim, there's a chance to make this bizarre expansion a playable reality. Sometimes the best ideas start a little scrappy.
And the cool part? Even with a shoestring budget, the enthusiasm from players, especially those who love horror, fantasy, and weird humor, could make this pack something people really want to try. Plus, what better way to keep The Sims 4 fresh after all these years?
Well, I'm rooting for it. If this expansion ever drops, you know I'll be the first to build a haunted monster zoo and make my Sim belt out some deathcore growls. For now, we can only dream and maybe start sketching out our own macabre cigar lounge plans.